Okay, I want to talk a little bit about red flags. When you visit a home with a buyer, we have an obligation as real estate agents to look for things that the Real Estate Commission calls red flags. When you're going through the house, while the client is getting enamored with all the fancy items, you should be looking for things that might need to be repaired. Cracks in the foundation, concrete that's coming apart, doors that won't close adequately because the frame is shifted, cracks in the ceilings, those kind of things. You're not expected to find things that an inspector would have to find, but the things that are obvious to the visible eye, you have a responsibility to be aware of. The crawl space. If the crawl space is accessible, you should always open the crawl space, look in to see if there's any evidence of prior water, or if there's water standing in the crawl space at the time, or if it has a ground covering, which would be a moisture barrier. We have a book in the office called Red Flags. It's a real estate update course that you're more than welcome to check out and look at, but you do have that responsibility. And once you find things that are incorrect or that are wrong, then you make notation of that. And when your client gets ready to make an offer, you point those things out to them, and you probably want to put those things in an additional provision for repair to be made regardless of what the inspector finds. When the inspector comes out and finds things and gives this long 45, 50-page report, the buyer can ask the seller to do everything or some of the things, and the seller's obligation is could be just to do nothing. They have a choice of repairing everything, negotiating things, or doing nothing. So if the client really wants a house and there's some items that are obvious that should have been repaired, say a big window in the family room that has a broken seal, it's going to be quite expensive, you'd want to put that in that additional provisions addendum to say that the seller repairs a broken seal, or the seller would remove the the problem for the standing water in the crawl space, or the seller would fix the crack in the foundations. So those things that the buyer wants done in order to close on the house needs to be documented, so that we don't leave it up to the inspector to convince the seller that, or the inspection report to convince the seller they need to do that. So if you have any questions about that, just give me a shout. We're always there, ready to help. Thanks.